Hello and welcome to Detroit Public Television's Candidate Conversations. I'm Vickie Thomas.
And I'm Jerome Vaughn. These conversations are part of Detroit Public TV's My Vote initiative, a program that has proven instrumental in helping Detroit voters learn more about the candidates running for office. Today we'll hear from the candidates in District 7, Gabe Leland and John Bennett.
The format is simple. Questions will be asked of each candidate. Each candidate will have approximately 1 minute to answer. At the end of our conversation, you'll have 30 seconds to address voters.
And remember, all of these conversations can be found on the myvote.org website. So let's begin our District 7 conversation with a brief introduction. Mr. Leland, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Jerome, and thank you, Vickie. My name is Gabe Leland. I'm a former state representative. I had the distinct honor and the privilege to represent the 10th District in Detroit from 2005 to 2010, where I had an opportunity to help the neighborhoods and go to Lansing and pass some good public policy for the state of Michigan. When constituents needed me, I was there for them. If it was helping to board up a house or if it was doing some volunteer work, I pulled my sleeves up and I was in my district. I was visible, I was accessible. Everywhere someone turned their head, I was there at a meeting, listening and responding. And I'm looking forward to going downtown on City Hall and City Council and doing the same.
And Mr. Bennett, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. My name's John Bennett. I'm a candidate for the City Council in District 7. Lifelong resident of Detroit. I've been in District 7 for 46 of my 50 years on this earth. I'm a Detroit police officer, been with the police department for 18 years. I'm running because Detroit needs accountable leadership. We need leaders who are accountable to the people. That's what the people wanted when they decided to go to the district system, and that's what I'm going to give them. Somebody who's actually in the district, a real Detroiter, and somebody who's accountable to the electorate of the city of Detroit.
What do you think is the biggest challenge facing the city of Detroit right now? And if you're elected, what will you do to fix it? Mr. Bennett?
Well, of course, the biggest challenge is our finances, getting our house in order. And I think on day one, should I get elected to council, I'm going to sit down with my colleagues and the mayor and hopefully the emergency manager, because whether we want him here or not, he's here. And we have to work out a financial plan to get our house in order quickly so that we can turn our government back into the hands of the people. So first and foremost is our finances. Then after that, we have to take a look at crime. You know, we've lost 1,000 officers from the Detroit Police Department in the last 10 years. In addition to that is the blight. There are 80,000 vacant and abandoned homes in our city that we have to address that too. Also, unemployment. Only 27 out of every 100 city residents in the city of Detroit are employed. That's an issue. We need our residents to be employed, we need them to be safe, and we need a clean community in addition to that.
Mr. Leland?
Security, clearly, and jobs. When you pick up that phone, you know, you're not getting the appropriate police response time when you need it. This is causing criminals to run our streets, knowing that there's no consequence to going out and you know, committing crime. So clearly, we need to focus on that issue, number one. With that is, you know, security. Blight is a huge issue. We have 80,000 abandoned buildings, structures in the city of Detroit. It's not safe, and the city should do a better job when a neighborhood or a local community development corporation wants to assume property, wants to take over an abandoned structure, either, you know, to tear it down or to rebuild. The city should do a much better job in terms of getting it in the right hands quickly, you know, to get that on the tax rolls as well. And so I'm focused on crime, blight, streetlights, and just in general, making our communities in Detroit more livable.
All right, Mr. Leland, let's talk a little bit more about crime. Section of your district was tabbed as the 7th most violent neighborhood in America. You have a 1 in 11 chance of being a victim of crime in that area, Wyoming and Orange Lawn, in 1 year. Tell me, what is your plan to make residents in District 7 feel safer?
Clearly, the axle that squeaks gets the grease, and what I mean by that is these crimes, they have to be reported, and we have to hash out and remove this issue of snitching. It's something that's been disheartening to experience, where you don't have necessarily good information for the officers to go ahead and fight crime. And so, one of the things that I'm going to be sure of is that the officers that patrol our streets in District 7, each and every one of them should be part of what they consider at the department to be community relations. They should know their neighborhood that they patrol. They should know the neighbors. They should know the community groups. They should know the streets that they patrol. And it's going to be about communication, about dialogue, to make sure that we eradicate this aspect of snitching.
Have you ever been a victim of crime in your district?
Every home that I've lived in and every car that I've owned in the city of Detroit has been vandalized. I've been broken into twice, and my vehicles have been broken into 3 times. And so, it doesn't matter, where you go, either in District 7, or throughout the city. These crimes are happening, and I'm looking forward to working with the departments, particularly public safety, to go after this.
And John Bennett, your take on this dubious distinction of being the 7th most violent neighborhood in America,
Yes.
and your plan to deal with it, especially
Yes.
as a cop.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you have to be a member, a resident of the district to be a victim of crime, which I know Mr. Leland hasn't been for most of his life like I have. I've been a victim of crime. My house has been broken into twice. My car has been left on bricks in my driveway twice. So I understand the concern that residents in my district have. Here's the plan. What we need is a short-term and long-term plan. Long-term, we have to find dedicated sources of revenue so that we can hire more police officers. That's the main thing. Short-term, what we need to do is partner with the agencies that surround us in order to deal with the crime today. Wayne State University, University of Detroit, Wayne Community College, those entities that are in the city of Detroit we can partner with to help us deal with the crime. Also, those agencies that surround the city. Dearborn, Redford, they border the District 7 area. We need to partner with them also to say, come in and partner with us, because if we can solve our crime problems, that'll eliminate any problems you may have. In addition to that, to deal with the crime problem, we have to deal with the unemployment problem too. That's connected. There's a nexus there.
And Mr. Leland, he's mentioned it or alluded to it a couple times already, the residency issue. Do you want to address that?
Well, as many of my residents and constituents would attest to, wherever, they have a meeting, whatever they have, community group, whatever the case may be, they turn their head and there I am, addressing their issue and showing concern. I did spend a few years, of my life outside the city of Detroit, something that I do not regret. But I have been a resident of this city for over a third of my life. I'm a bona fide resident. Obviously, the Secretary of State, has all that information if anybody has an issue on that. My opponent did try to ask for an investigation at the beginning of this race, got Internal Affairs at DPD involved. They took it to the Department of Elections. There was an investigation done. Needless to say, an interview from my neighbors was completed, and there was no issue, whatsoever. I am a bona fide resident, and I have the skills to get the task done at the council table.
You disagree?
Well, there was an investigation done, and it was reported in the Detroit News, and the verbiage said there was not enough evidence to prove that he actually lived at that address. That was the verbiage of the investigation, and that was reported in the Detroit News, that they could not prove that he lived at that address. Not that he did not live there, but that he lived there. So my concern is, why did the clerk decide to keep him on the ballot if there wasn't enough evidence to prove that he actually lived in the district? So I don't know.
Well, I'm a bona fide resident, and I'm looking forward to going downtown and getting some things done for the city.
So you say it's a non-issue?
It's a non-issue.
All right. Let's move on. Mr. Bennett, you said there's a real connection between jobs and the availability of them and crime.
Yes.
What will you do if you're elected to support small businesses in Detroit, small businesses being the major generator of jobs in the U.S.?
Absolutely. You know, in the city of Detroit, 27 out of every 100 residents have jobs. Compare that to a similar sized city of Atlanta, there's 73 out of every 100. I think we need partners. We need the philanthropic community, we need the business community to partner with us so that we can provide job training. I think we need to bring that synergy we have happening downtown with the pop-up businesses to my district so that there's growth. I think we need to provide incentives to small businesses so they can open up businesses in my district and provide jobs to the residents in my district. So what I'm going to be looking for is partners, people who want to come in and provide training and provide jobs in my district.
All right. Mr. Leland?
You know, there's a lot going on downtown, and it's all very, very exciting. And the hope is that we can develop some partnerships with those folks to get them to invest in the neighborhoods. There's a lot of incredible infrastructure that we could take advantage of. You know, we have things like the Rouge River. We have a lot of synergy going on the backside. To the west, we have Detroit Diesel. You know, it's a world-renowned company. I personally worked with the local community development corporation called the Joy for Southfield CDC, where we were able to tap into a grant, a federal grant called Downtowns of Promise, where we offered 15 businesses $15,000 in grant money to improve their facade. And as we look at the construction going on Joy Road from Southfield to Rouge Park, you're not going to recognize our neighborhood in the next 5 years. These companies were able to take advantage of that money. They did some facade improvements, and I'm going to do what I can to build off of that progress.
One of you will be the new council person representing District 7. So tell the voters what makes you uniquely qualified to be a member of City Council, with the emphasis on unique. Mr. Bennett first.
My service, my sacrifice. My opponent hasn't served this city to the extent that I have. I've given 18 years of my life in the police department. Beyond that, I've sacrificed many days of doing a lot of different things in the community, including mentoring. I think in order to serve in this environment where we're going into a district system, you have to have a social conscience. You have to have a level of compassion. You have to be a part of the community. My footprints are all over the 7th District because that's where I grew up. That's where I was raised and rooted. So I know a little bit about the area and the people and their concerns. So my job is going to be to go downtown and make sure every need they have is met, in addition to serving the needs of the citizens in the wider Detroit community. But my service, my level of sacrifice is second to none, I believe.
And Mr. Leland, what makes you uniquely qualified to be a member of City Council?
I think we need people on council that understand how to respond to the emergency that's going on in our neighborhoods. And when I served 6 years in the State House, and even after that, you know, I rolled my sleeves up. I got to know the issues. You know, I walked doors. I walked, you know, the neighborhood 5 times over, and I got to hear from these, you know, constituents' doors. I got invited inside, you know, and you know, I got to hear their story, and that's where you hear about the real Detroit. You know, you hear it on their doorstep. You hear it while you're, you know, eating, you know, a plate with them at their, you know, son or daughter's, you know, graduation party. So, you know, I know what's going on, and, you know, this job is about knowing what's going on and knowing how to respond. In addition, I'm a little bit younger, obviously. I have an impact on younger people, and those are the folks that we've missed an opportunity on. I look forward to engaging the youth in this election to get them to come out and vote, and that's one of the things that I'm going to be working very hard on now and in the future.
Detroit's schools aren't under the control of City Council, but education is an issue that makes a big difference when it comes to retaining residents, attracting residents, or losing residents. It's also important when you're considering the next generation is going to have to fill governmental seats and business seats down the road. What will each of you do, and we'll start with you, Mr. Leland, to support education in Detroit?
Well, thank you, Jerome. You know, there's a lot of stress on our kids today, and I think that our children are somehow somewhat misguided and discouraged. You know, they're wonderful children. They go to school, they walk to school, and they have to see the blight and see the crime around them. You know, they get in that classroom and they're pressured and they're bullied, and you know, they come home, they walk the same route home, and they have all the issues and all the ailments as they're going home, and potentially, you know, when they get back into that home, you know, there could be some other you know, distractions taking place as well. So we need to truly take a look at the holistic approach of education. You know, we can give the teachers all the tools that they could ever imagine needing, and we still would not be able to affect that child. So our approach has to be, you know, very, very holistic, investing in wraparound programs, you know, and pushing them. And I'm going to be using my office, you know, as a leadership role to push for those.
Mr. Bennett?
Unlike my opponent, my years in school were all spent here in the city of Detroit, elementary school, junior high, and high school. So there's a natural connection and a concern on my part for what lay ahead for our young people. I think my job will be, because as you said, we don't have any direct control over the school system. So my job is going to be to support them by making the community around them safer, cleaner, more walkable. As a young person, there were centers I could go to play and play in a safe and clean environment. We have to take away those concerns from our young people so that they can have the opportunity to learn, and learn in a clean environment, learn in a safe environment, and not have to worry about those outside externalities. So my job is going to be to support them in that way, and if I can support them through any other programs, be it funding or grants or anything like that that the city can provide, I'm willing to do that, because I came from this system. I understand what their needs are, and I'm going to be there to support them 150%.
And Mr. Leland, tell us about your vision for District 7 and your plan to get the district there.
Well, we have to, you know, get our citizens positive again. There is a lot of disconnect, and it's going to be my job to educate and communicate the issues that are going on that council table, so that they can be a part, you know, of that discussion. I'm very lay-led in a way in terms of how I conduct myself as an elected official. You know, I have a lot of direction. I take a lot of direction from the community. I think that's important. You know, as I feel like grassroots advocacy, you know, is absolutely, you know, important. So, you know, I see a lot of businesses coming to our community. I see infrastructure improving. I see lights being turned on, and that's all about, you know, sitting at that council table, you know, and fighting for the rights of my residents. You know, I did it on committee in Lansing, and I'm going to intend on fighting hard for my residents on that council table.
Mr. Bennett?
You know, Scripture teaches me that, you know, that you write the vision and you make it plain. And simply put, I want a safer community. I want a cleaner community. I want a more walkable, family-friendly community. That's the basis of my plan. And whatever I need to do, and whomever I need to partner with in order to make that happen, that's going to be my job. Eliminating crime, eliminating blight, providing job opportunities and job training for the residents in my district, 104,000 strong. That's what I'm going to be representing. So those are the things I want to do, and I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. But what I'm looking for is partners, people willing to come into the district and the city of Detroit and partner with us, not just downtown, but partner with the people in the neighborhood in order to make the neighborhood better also.
All right, final question. Mr. Bennett, who
Yes.
are you supporting for mayor?
You know what? If you drive by my house, you'll see a Benny Napoleon sign in my yard. If you drive by his house, you'll see a John Bennett sign in his yard.
A John Bennett?
John Bennett for City Council in Benny Napoleon's yard.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well,
Oh,
you have my sign in your
say,
yard?
wait.
Okay. Well, I worked for him. I've known him for quite a long time. That's where I'm at. That's who I'm supporting. That said, if I'm elected to council, and should Mr. Napoleon not get elected as mayor, I'm going to work with whoever the mayor is, and in order to make sure our city gets to where it needs to get to.
Mr. Leland.
Great question. As we look towards the future of our city, you know, I love both these candidates, and I've known them for a very, very long time. I can tell you, and as I've told everybody, Mr. Napoleon has watched me growing up. He's worked with my father in various capacities in government here in Detroit. I have a lot of respect for him and his career. As it relates to Mr. Duggan, he's done a fantastic job where he's come from, and you know, his background obviously, you know, proves that. You know, on election day, I will be supporting Mr. Duggan. You know, obviously, you know, my focus, you know, is my own election, and you know, making sure that I get that opportunity to get the seat as a council person. But at this time, Mr. Duggan is my pick.
All right.
All right, time now for each candidate to summarize their candidacy and detail the points that are most important to them. Each of you will have 30 seconds. Let's begin with Mr. Bennett.
You know, when the voters went to the polls 2 years ago and they voted for council by district, they wanted someone who would be elected, who would be accountable, who would live in their district, who would understand their needs. I'm that candidate. Unlike my opponent, I live in the district, I've been there all my life, I'm accountable to the people. If we're gonna move away from politics as usual, the family and friends plan, who you're related to, who your parents are, this is the time we need to start doing that. If you want real leadership, if you want somebody who's gonna fight hard and represent the people in the city of Detroit and the 7th District, John Bennett is the person for that job, and I hope to have your support.
And now Mr. Leland.
You know, experience is everything. As I told you from the beginning, I had the distinct honor and privilege to serve as a state rep, where I was elected 3 times, to represent Detroiters. And folks, you know, understood that, you know, I had their back, whether it be, you know, at the state or now on council. You know, all politics is local, and now I'm going to have this opportunity to really get, you know, to the root of the issues that folks are passionate about as it relates to their quality of life. And I'm going to fight for you. I hope to have your support November 5th. And thank you so much for the time.
That's all the time we have for this candidate conversation. A big thank you to Gabe Leland and John Bennett from District 7 for participating.
And remember, you can find all of these conversations on the myvote.org website. For all of us at Detroit Public Television, I'm Vickie Thomas.
And I'm Jerome Vaughn. Thanks for watching.